Okay, hi Year Sixes. My name is Mr. J. I'm one of the assistant head teachers at Esher High School, and I'm here with Mrs. Wilsden, who is going to be answering some questions that you guys have sent in to us. The idea of the session today, normally we'd be coming into your schools and we'd be speaking to you into your schools, and we have managed to get into a number of schools, and we've been able to speak to a lot of students, but I know there are some that haven't been able to get in. So we thought we'd put a little short video together just to try and answer some questions that other students have sent in to us, and we know there'll be questions that you might have. So hopefully when we go through these questions, we answer everything for you. And if there is questions that we haven't answered, then do get in touch with us and we'll talk you through how to do that later on in the video. Okay. So the first question we've got is about getting to and from school. So Mrs. Wilsden is going to answer that one.
Hello everyone. Yeah, it's a common question, a common concern to get to secondary school, which sometimes is a little bit further away from your home. Some of you will be getting buses, some of you will walk, some will cycle, and some will come in by car. The main advice is if you're getting a bus or if you're cycling, just do a bit of research during the summer holidays. Make sure you know where your bus stop is, make sure you know a safe cycle route. If you're getting a bus, familiarise yourself with the timetable so that you know which bus you need to get in order to be in school on time. And just follow general sort of safety guidance, really. If you're walking, try and walk with a friend and make sure that you stick to a safe route. Yeah.
Okay. The next question we've got is a uniform and what to wear. Well, the whole point of having a uniform is that we all look the same. Some of you, I'm sure, will be coming from primary schools that have a uniform already, so you'll be used to wearing a uniform. But we might have some that are joining us that don't have a uniform. The idea behind it is, like I said, we all look the same, and therefore we kind of wear that uniform in the same way. So for the boys, you've got your black trousers, you'll have school shoes, and then you've got your white shirt, and then there is a tie. For Key Stage 3, it is a red tie. And then when you get into year 10 and year 11, it changes to a blue tie. And then you have a blazer as well. For the girls, very similar, except you've got the blouse, school shoes still. You've also got the skirt, which is the tartan skirt. You can see some of the girls in the photo behind. I've got that on. And we ask that that skirt is worn onto the knee. There is lots of information on the website about it. We've also got your school planner, which looks like this. So when you arrive, you'll all get given a school planner. There's a whole page in there about your school uniform. And if you're unsure about anything, then you need to ask your form tutor or you need to ask a member of staff. So if, for example, you turn up on the first day and you're not sure if those shoes are the right shoes, then do ask if they are appropriate or not. And we'll let you know. In terms of what you can wear and jewelry and makeup, all of that sort of stuff, that's all on the website and it's nice and clear. But if there is anything that you're unsure of, then do ask us about that. There's PE kit as well, and that will be on there. There's a letter on the website all about what uniform is required and also what PE kit you need to wear. We advise that everyone comes with a bag, a nice backpack, one that you can fit an A4 folder in, and then that way you can carry all your stuff with you. You will need your own pencil case that we ask you to make sure you look after and keep restocking. And it's a good idea that you get your parents to check that you've got everything that you need to, that it says again in the planner that you'll need. So that's kind of the uniform side of things. And there are times where people, might forget their blazer, or they might end up coming with their trainers and they've forgotten that they've left their shoes at home. But we have some spare uniform that we do lend out, and we have a system for that as well. So it's certainly, we work with you when it comes to the uniform as well. All right, so hopefully that answers the uniform one. The next question we have on here is about mobile phones and headphones, like the ones I'm wearing at the moment. Mobile phones, they are allowed in school. We recommend that if you are using a mobile phone, that you make sure you're using it in the appropriate areas. So you'll get told that when you arrive, but there are certain places within the school you're not allowed to be on a mobile phone. For example, in your lessons, unless the teacher has specifically said to you, we're doing a piece of work that's going to involve you using your mobile phone. So there are some games that they play and some different sites that they might ask you to go on where you might need to use your mobile phone. However, you don't have to have a mobile phone. But certainly if you are bringing in a mobile phone, it's your responsibility. You need to look after it. You need to make sure it's in a safe place at all times. In terms of earphones and headphones, again, they're not allowed in the school buildings, so people shouldn't be seeing headphones being worn at any point. When you're coming to and from school, obviously if you've got headphones in, that's fine, but you need to be taking them out. So that's how we work with the headphones. Okay.
The next question that we often get is, how does the daily routine work at Esher High and the timetable? I'm sure you probably don't really have a fixed timetable at junior school. Here at Esher High, you're going to have 5 different lessons every day. We have so many different subjects to teach you, which I'm sure you're excited about. You're going to have as many as 13 or 14 different subjects and different teachers. So that's something new to get used to. Your timetable will work in week 1 and week 2. That's simply so that we can teach you all of those different subjects. We wouldn't be able to fit them all in 1 week. It might seem confusing when you first look at it, but you will soon get used to it. And your timetable will tell you lesson 1, lesson 2, through to lesson 5, your subject, the number of your classroom and the name of your teacher. The typical day would be you arrive at 8:40, no later than 8:40 you need to be in school. That's when the first bell goes. So if you happen to be out on the field or in the Blue Diner with your friends, as soon as you hear that first bell at 20 to 9, you need to gather up your things and head straight to your tutor room. At 8:45, a second bell will sound, and that is the indication for your form tutor to start taking the register. So by 8:45, you should be either inside your tutor room or lining up outside. If you're not there when your tutor takes the register, you will be marked down as late, and that's something to watch out for. I mentioned earlier about working out your routine in the morning, so making sure that you're in school in plenty of time. You'll then stay in your tutor rooms for 20 minutes every morning, and there'll be a different routine each day. Some days it might be thought for the day, another day it might be a quiz. On a Friday you'll have your Year 7 assembly, but each day you'll have those 20 minutes with your form tutor. You'll then head off to lesson 1, followed by lesson 2, so that's 2 hours altogether. Then you'll have a 20-minute break from 11:05. Then you'll have lesson 3, lesson 4, then you'll have your lunch time, which in Year 7 is 50 minutes, slightly earlier than the rest of the school. That gives you a good 10 minutes to get into the Blue Diner and queue up and get your food, etc. Then after lunch, you'll have lesson 5, and then at 3 o'clock, that's the end of the school day, unless, of course, you're going to one of our amazing after-school clubs. Punctuality is really important, not just to school, arriving at school on time, but also to each lesson. Okay, we do understand that when you're first here, it might you need to make sure that you're not dawdling and that you go straight to your lessons. Okay. Getting around, that is another concern that a lot of Year 6s have. Lots of them have said to me, will I get lost? What happens if I get lost? We do, as I just said, we do totally understand it is a big school site, and teachers are very mindful that you're new to the school. If you find that you've looked at your timetable and you've come from English and you're heading to science and you think you know where you're going, and then suddenly you realise that you're in the performing arts block, don't panic. Just ask somebody. You can ask anybody in the corridors or around, whether it's a student or a member of staff. They will help you, okay? Don't worry, don't get upset or anxious. They will help you find your classroom. If I asked any of the Year 7s that are here currently how long it took them to get used to the school, they would all say, oh, about 2 weeks. That's usually what they tell you. Some are a bit quicker at finding their way around and some slightly longer, but it won't take you any more than a few weeks to find your way around. You will get a map when you come on your induction day. And we'll do some activities with you on induction day that will help you sort of familiarise yourself with the school site. Okay. Next question, homework. Year sixes always seem to think that when they come to secondary school, they're going to get about 5 hours of homework every night that's all due in the next morning. And that is a myth, I'm pleased to tell you. That isn't the case at all. You will get regular homework, maths, English and science. You'll get one piece of homework every week, and the other subjects usually about once a fortnight. But the teachers will always give you at least 2 days to complete that task. Okay, they won't say to you, bring that to me first thing in the morning. They will give you a little bit longer to complete it. The instructions for your homework will all be clearly given to you in the lesson, but they also will be uploaded onto a site called Satchel One. It used to be called Show My Homework. Your homework will be uploaded there with instructions from your teacher and also a due date, so you can be organised and you'll be able to schedule all your work without overloading yourself each evening. Your parents can also download the app on their phones, and it will give you reminders as well. So as I say, you can be really organised and organise your time in the evenings. In terms of if your homework is overdue, a good piece of advice I would say is if you don't understand the homework, if you go home and you look at the homework and you're really confused, get in contact with your teacher as soon as you can. You can even send them a message via Satchel One. My students do that sometimes. Miss, I'm really sorry, I don't understand. And the teacher will explain it to you again. Don't just avoid it and wait until the due date and then say to the teacher, I couldn't do it, okay? Because that's when you might find yourself in a situation where you'll get a detention. Yeah, I think that's it on the homework. Back to Mr. J.
Okay. I think it's important to remember as well when you are moving around the school that there are lots of other students that will definitely help you to get to places. There's also lots of staff that are around. We know in the first few days that it's a case of the new year 7 settling in and finding their way around. So please don't worry about that side of it. It's normally the biggest thing that you do worry about, but don't worry about it because we're all on hand to sort of help you get to somewhere and just help you find your lessons. And the same with the homework as well. For some of you, it might feel like there's more than you're used to, but do keep talking to your form tutor and your teachers about that, and then we can all work together to make sure that you get where you need to be, and also you get the work done that you need to get done. Okay, the question I've got, and again, a lot of the students all ask this, it's about, detentions. What happens if I get a detention? Do they do detentions at Esher High? All that sort of side of things. Yes, we do have sanctions in place, and we have those in place because we really value and protect the learning that goes on. We have quite a simple system within the classrooms that it's pretty much a 3-strike sort of element of things where students are given warnings, are given opportunities to move seats and things, given opportunity to make things right and repair things when things go wrong. But ultimately, if behaviour isn't good enough, or if you're rude or anything like that happens, then you can find yourself in a detention. And again, if you don't do your homework, you can find yourself in a detention for that. So with that, it's all communicated. We get it all sent out to homes so that they know about it as well, and then you have to attend those. Our advice is just simply, if there is something that's gone wrong, go and make it right. Go and talk it through. Go and complete the work that needs to be completed. Go and apologise for the behaviour when you've got it wrong. And that's how we learn. Everyone can make mistakes, so it's important that we all recognise that. But ultimately, the main thing is we need to keep the learning happening in those lessons. And sometimes if the behaviour that you're doing or somebody in your class is doing is impacting other people, then it's really, really important that we tell you that that's not acceptable, because we've got to look after everyone else who's also wants to learn. Okay, so that's the sanctions side of things. If you don't attend, then obviously, they can get bigger and it becomes a bigger problem, but then we normally have parental meetings and things like that as well. In terms of friendship fallout, and sometimes we do have this at schools. You're all coming from different primary schools. You're all coming into a much larger year group. There's around 240 of you in the year group. So there will be naturally some friendship fallout, and there will be times where this becomes bullying, and that's something that we are really clear on where we stand with bullying. We have an anti-bullying policy. We have all sorts of things in your planner. We have things up in all your form tutor rooms, all talking about what we define bullying as, but also ways to support each other when you see friendship fallout happening. Also, when you see somebody going through or maybe being bullied by somebody else, how you report it, how you stand up against it, and how we all work together, students and staff, to make sure we stop that happening. It is an important thing for the staff, and it is something that we are all constantly looking at and helping, looking at how we can improve and get better, because often when you guys talk to each other as children, you can say some really harmful things to each other, and it can have really huge impacts, and sometimes you don't even realize the impacts your words can have. So often we do assemblies on bullying and friendship fallout, and we talk about how to be kind, and we do all sorts of different lessons on it as well, just so that you guys understand how important your impact on others can be. Other things that we've got in place, well-being support. So what happens if you're not feeling great, or if you're having a bad day, or you just don't feel well enough, or whatever it might be, to be in a lesson or something like that, and you want some extra support? We've got loads of it at Esher High. We have your form tutors. They're your first port of call. So there's, again, about 30 students to a tutor group, and within that you register with them, as Ms Wilson's already said, and then if there is an issue, you go to them first and you explain that and you talk it through, and they'll point you in the right direction as to, okay, they can resolve it for you and give you some ideas to go away with, or they might say, well, why don't you book in and have a conversation with one of the wellbeing coordinators. Now, each year group has a student wellbeing coordinator attached to them, and these are non-teaching staff. We really value what they do within our school, and that support network, things like mental health, student wellbeing. It's really, really important. You only have to look in the Blue Diner and see a massive display all about student wellbeing. And again, we have assemblies and we have other things that you'll find out about when you come and you join us. But they're the people to talk to. We also have Year 10 Wellbeing Ambassadors. So that's some students older, obviously a lot older than you guys, and they will come and join in with the tutor groups, and they are another group that you can call upon. We also have a system called Confide, which is where if you don't feel that you can go and talk to somebody and you'd like to then, but you'd like to type about it or write about it, then you can send an email, and that's all, again, will be something that will be explained to you when you arrive at the school, how you do that. It's on all the desktops in the classrooms as well. Okay, right, I think that's my other questions done.
Okay, right, the next topic is a really, really important one, food and drink at Esher High. I'm sure Mr. J will agree with me when I say that the food at Esher High is really, really good. We have a fantastic diner called the Blue Diner, and you'll find out why it's called the Blue Diner when you arrive. The food is all prepared freshly here on site. There's food available in the morning, so if you've rushed out of the house, you haven't had any breakfast, you can grab breakfast here from 8 o'clock until the first bell at 8:40. More food at break time. If you're peckish, then you can have a sandwich or a muffin or a brownie or something. Then lunchtime, obviously, there's a whole variety of food, cold and hot food, which varies every day. There's something for everybody. Popular things in the summer are the slushies and the ice lollies on really hot days, and in the winter, hot chocolate with marshmallows and cream is always a bit of a winner. It's a cashless system, so you don't need to bring money in for your food and drink. You will use your fingerprint, strangely, and you'll pay via an online account that your parents can top up. You will scan your fingerprint when you've bought your food. It will tell you how much you've spent and also how much you've got left on your account. So keep an eye on that, so that if you see you haven't got much money left on your account, you can remind your parents politely to top it up for you again. Okay, you don't have to buy food in the Blue Diner. If you don't want to, you can bring a packed lunch, or you can even mix and match. You could bring packed lunch one day and have food from the Blue Diner the next. That's absolutely fine. You don't have to commit to having, you know, a certain type of lunch for a whole term. With the queuing, I think I mentioned earlier that your lunchtime starts about 10 minutes earlier than the rest of the school, which gives the Year 7s a chance to get through the queue before the rest of the school come down to the Blue Diner. Next on the list of questions is about after school clubs. So we have tons and tons of after school clubs, and again, something for everybody. It's not just sports clubs, but there are performing arts clubs, debating club, all sorts of things. They're really popular. You'll get a list of those on your induction day. You can pop your name down for the ones that you want to do. You could literally do a club every day after school if you wanted. And we even have some lunchtime clubs, things that sometimes have come from Student Voice, where students have said, for example, they wanted a darts club. So one of our maths teachers runs a darts club at lunchtime, which is really, really popular. So if there's something that you're really interested in and you don't see it on the list, just suggest it to your tutor, and if there's enough interest and a teacher that's happy to run the club, we'll just set it up. Okay, so there's lots to do after school.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. J.
Well, we've talked a little bit about the sanctions and stuff, but on the flip side of it, we also have a lot of things that we do to do with the reward side of things. So we ask that you obviously try and collect these points and things and these merits as you go through. And with all of these points, they equate to certain levels, and you can move through them. The aim is to try and get the gold standard. That's the biggest one that everyone's aiming to try and get. And each half term there is prizes for that as well. You get a certificate. So that's all in place, and all of the rewards and stuff kind of filter through a house system that we have in place. And again, when you arrive to the school, you'll hear a bit more about the house system. You may have a house system in the school that you're coming from. We also do charity days as well, where we look to raise money for the local charities, and we have things like Christmas Jumper Day. We have all sorts of different days where there's an opportunity for us to come together, slightly different than our normal lessons, and we do things in a slightly different way. But again, we'll tell you a little bit more about the house system when you arrive. Things like sports days run through the house system, and there's other events that go on as well throughout the year. So that's the house system side of things. And Mrs. Wilsden mentioned about if you have something you'd like to change, or Student Voice, or you'd like to say, well, this worked really well in primary school, we'd like to change that at Esher High School, then there is that Student Voice opportunity. A few years ago, the girls decided that they really felt wearing a tie wasn't appropriate anymore, and they'd prefer to maybe move to a blouse. Well, we listened to that, and we changed that as well. So there's certainly things as you come from one school, and bring your ideas with you, bring your energy, and then we can look to see, we'll hear your voice, and we'll look at if we can improve things and make things better for you. We're all very excited to have you guys join us. We're looking at the moment, obviously with COVID and all the other restrictions, we're looking at what induction day will look like. We'll certainly do what's called a phased introduction, so we won't throw you in with all the other year groups at the same time. We'll very much be just Year 7s coming in. You'll get a chance to meet your tutor. You'll get a chance to have a tour of the school as well, and be explained further some of the things that we've just mentioned to you now. You also get a chance to get your timetable, that gets talked through to you. Another thing that I know that a lot of the students really worry about is that you're going to have lots of different teachers. So we have quite simple systems of ways to remember who those teachers are, using their initials in their letters, and that will be on the timetables. And then, yeah, any questions, you might have more questions now that we haven't answered. So we have an email address, which is newintake@esherhigh.surrey.sch.uk. Look at that, perfectly rehearsed there. So if you have any questions, please email them in to us. Don't sit there and worry about them over the summer period. And go out, enjoy your summer as best you can. I know we might not be able to go all the places that we would hope to go, but really enjoy your summer, stay learning. So keep reading, keep doing a few things like that. So you're prepared, your brain's not completely switched off over the summer period, and that you come ready to join us. Some of you will be coming from lots of different, a school with lots of different students in it. And then I know for a fact that there'll be some coming from just, they don't know anyone else. They're the only person from their school. So what we do say is whenever you do arrive, try and make new friends. Go and find out, and we'll do icebreaker activities and some fun activities in your tutor time anyway. But come open-minded and ready to make new friends, not just keep the 3 or 4 you've come from primary school with, but look to find other friendships as well. Okay. I don't know, Mrs. Wilsden, if there's anything else we've missed that you might think we need to add.
I can't think of anything, but as Mr. J said, if you do think of any questions that we haven't answered, then please just email the new intake at Esher High email address. And yeah, have a fantastic summer, and we really look forward to welcoming you as our new Year 7s in the autumn.
And one of the buildings we have in the school, which I haven't mentioned about, is student services. And that's where you'll find Mrs. Wilsden and myself and lots of other support for in the school as well. So when you do your tours, make sure you ask to find out where the student services building is. All right, we look forward to seeing you all in September. Take care. Bye now.